Naivasha, even your father is a failed politician. So the fellow was not happy. So I don't like giving my examples with myself, but when I came up in the university, the university is a very traditional place. The traditionalism you're talking about. Ni mahali kwa wazee. Sawa. Kwa hivyo, wewe kijana wanakuangalia wanashindwa unaenda wapi? Mbona uko na mbio? Where are you going? Why are you in a hurry? And I didn't make one or two enemies, I made a lot of enemies. And one of my enemies, Onyango, I met him the other day at Nakumat before he died. Okay? In fact, I think this is a conversation that made it die. And I knew that he was one of my enemies, and they are the people who are having night meetings to stop me from ABCD. Night meetings will be hard, whether you are a woman or whether you are a man. Wacha kusema ati watu wanakutana sababu wewe ni mwanamke. Hapana. Watu wanakutana because you are a candidate for power. That's the reason that wanakutana. Hata wanaume wanakutananga. Hata Onyango wataanza kukutaniwa mahali. If they are not already meeting. Okay?
Already happening.
Yes. And then this guy told me, and we were chatting. I retired in 2012. So he didn't have a problem now talking to me because I was no longer a threat anyway to him, and he was still in the university. And he told me, hey, you know, Wainaina, with you, the bad thing with you is that you're rather smart and good at what you do. Then I told him, Daktari, hata hakuwa professor. Daktari, rudia vile umesema. This was one of the people who are fighting me to the nail. But when we met, he had to admit, ni sawa, tulikuwa hatukupendi, ulikuwa na mbio sana, lakini kama ukweli inaweza kusemwa, ulikuwa mbele. What are people saying about you? Have you invested enough in yourself for people to respect your expertise?
And there could be, and I know you know this, but it's good to repeat. You know, we say, those of us, those who are very familiar with the Bible, you know that there is nothing new under the sun. Keep on repeating the same thing. When I'm telling people to invest long term, I remember one time I was in the church, and then somebody, during Q&A, somebody asked, you are telling us to invest for 10 years, what have you? Hey, siyo miaka mingi sana. So I had to think on my feet. So how was I going to respond to that? The way I put it, everybody laughed. Said I'm in my 50s, and since the time I was born, I started going to church. I've been hearing Jesus is coming back, and he's still coming back soon. So he's coming soon. Yes. So, if you are still waiting patiently for the return of the Son of Man, then you can invest and wait patiently for your returns. And I asked them, what will you be doing in 2043? Hatutakuwa tumekufa. So I told me 2043, that will be a maturity for one of my longest boat. I have a 30-year boat that I bought in 2013, it will mature in 2043. Because me, I have asked God for one thing. Give me 100 years only. So I'll still be around. So I'll vote for you.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, what you have to separate, to distinguish from what Prof has said, which is powerful, is authority. Don't confuse power and authority. Your job title gives you authority, and that authority disappears the moment you are out of that office. I was a CEO, I was a director, GK vehicle, all of those nice things. Salary scale S, you know, all those nice things in that level. Speaking to ministers coming to your office. How is the FAD doing in my constituency? Nice stuff. But the moment I left that office, that authority disappeared. I was left with my power. What I'm good at. I'm now another. So I've released 4 titles. They are giving me credence because of that, whatever I'm doing. So what you said is powerful. And my final comment on what Prof has said. Somebody said, I can't remember the author, that nobody can get on your back unless you allow them to. Unless you bend. So don't go complaining, nini mambo mingi. Nobody cares about your complaint. Those excuses, I've written a book on excuses. My excuses, the barriers to dreams and the success. Nobody cares about those things. And you ladies, as professionals, you really have to pass this message to women. We have so many widows around. And they have a perfect alibi, excuse. You know I am a widow, you know nini, excuses mingi. Can you dissuade them to get rid of that narrative? Because we found this universe here, hii dunia tulikuta hapa na tutaiacha hapa. And this world does not owe you anything. You have to claim your space and colonize your space.
Thank you very much. So party shot, Mr. Onyango, you have mentioned that you're running for chairmanship. And we may not get a chance to hear from you the 3 things that you're going to do for the Institute to be able to elevate it so that it's a globally recognized institution. And in particular, you know, what are you going to do on the women front so that then we're able to get empowered as well?
Okay, thank you very much. I think I need to wear my political hat, which I'm getting some osmosis.
Yes.
Hey, wacha niamke sasa. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe tena. Sasa nikisema next time umeambiwa Bwana asifiwe, usijibu amen. Please. Prof has just taught us something. Hujui ni bwana gani nasema. Labda mimi nataka nisifiwe. Kwa hivyo nikisema Bwana asifiwe, kimi. Nikisema Bwana Yesu asifiwe ndio nasema amen. Bwana asifiwe. Hi, good students. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Thank you very much. Now the political side. But before you go there, just one more on the professional side. And it is this. The competencies, the attributes that brought you to where you are today, those are not the things that will take you to the next level. As an institution, we are somewhere here. So many things have happened, and we've gone through some journeys, good, bad, and all that. Now we are here. Do never be convinced, and philosophers will tell you that all those competencies, I was this, that made me be where we are today, we are going to use them to get to the next, and that is why there's this agitation for change. My opportunity is not to campaign. I'm not campaigning, by the way. My opportunity is to tell you these things that you've heard very well, but then you are very lucky to be here today in this Congress. I think this has been very rich in the session that have been about issues of power, and I'm sure each of you as an individuals are saying, next time I'm going to get this opportunity, I'm going for it, as an individual, whether I win or
not.
Yes. 3 things. And when Prof here says that the social capital is what people talk about you. You are in all these WhatsApp groups, isn't it? You are hearing the trend. When mwenyewe unasikiza, si ndio? You've made a conviction. By now you know who you're voting for, isn't it? Ni siri, unajua, si ni kweli? Stay with it. Kana you conviction, because if you're convinced otherwise, you will be broken. But the things that are ailing our institute, and we like this one of the things, comparing with, I don't know, LSK. We are special in our own way. It is about people in this country. It is about people. A lot of talk is CHRP exams and the course and all that. How many have seen the manifesto flying around? My manifesto. That is one thing that's going to be addressed. Number 2, the fact that there is no voice of members. The fact that since this institution began, you have not had an opportunity to speak through the AGM or any other channel. That is, and I'm telling you it's going to happen. It must happen. 3 years, I'm going to be at the reign. It will happen 3 times because it is an annual general meeting. It's going to happen. In the manifesto, there are details and things and all, you know. And it is dependent. But in this country, we are suffering from many things. And this is my 3rd point, is that if we limit our expertise that has been talked about today, if we limit our thinking to HR, then we ain't going anywhere as an institution. eventually, and that is my sole individual pursuit, to really, yes, my background and my fundamentals are human resources, what we call people management today, but to get out of it, to look at a wider scope, you know? Because you as a people manager are taking care of doctors. You as a people manager, you are actually responsible over engineers, over all these other professions, because these professions are born out of how you manage them. Ni kweli au si kweli? And therefore, what I'm looking at in terms of the future of this institution, I'm not looking at the 3 years that you currently have given me this opportunity to serve, because you have. Not those 3 years. But I'm looking at it in terms of what is the end game? What is the end? Can we get public trust in this country? Can we start emphasizing, number one, where you are, workplace ethics? And not the roles, not the careers, not the... But because that is where our problem is as a country, isn't it? Yeah? And what about the community good? How can we influence? And Professor, I really admire what you said. How can we influence the other for public good, for common good, for the ethics, such that it is not your business to see an old man there selling a young 12-year-old daughter to a man because he's rich, because he's looking at the financials or land or anything, and you come out as an individual to protest and say no, especially as a woman to begin with. These things happen under our watch, and at times we say no, and then we carry out investment to other countries, we impoverish ourselves. I'm looking at that distant future, and I want to create it now. And that is why I offered myself for this position of your chairperson for the next 3 years. And I thank you in advance for the support, because I know we are getting there. In one word, I'm taking back leadership to you. You've got the competencies, you've got all it takes, you've learned all this, and you are going to lead this institution. Asanteni sana. Bwana asifiwe. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Asante sana.
I was going to give you the parting shot, Prof.
Okay, I think I've talked a lot. So I will part with a quote from kuna mtu hapa wa chama hili hapa. Kuna mtu hapa wa chama hizi za news za underground, hizi za kusupport watu. I will finish by, I told you I am a